Okay, we have quite a few people now, so we can start. And well, thank you, first of all, for joining the webinar. My name is Katrina, and I'm specializing in automations at Plumsail. And we prepared this webinar in collaboration with Make Automation. And I'm joined by Daniel, the co-host, and he is a value engineer at Make. And he will be sharing his knowledge and insights around best practices, how to use Make Automation, and to how to leverage the AI tools there. I know we all are at different stages of AI adoption. Some of you are already using AI agents, AI chatbots, all of that in your daily workflow, while a lot of people are still exploring the tools and looking for ideas. So our main goal for today's webinar is to give you something practical that you can take away and start applying in your daily workflows straight away. So let's go over the agenda of what we have planned for today. Most of you are probably familiar with either Plumsail public web forms or documents, or both product. So we will just briefly go over the software functionality and main features. Next, I will hand it over to Daniel, who will introduce Make Automation and its newest AI features. After that, we will move on to live demos. Daniel will be first, I will follow. And at the end, we will have time to answer your questions live. But we also have a couple of people here, both from a Make team and our Plumsail team, that they will be active in the chat. So if you have any questions regarding some of the features that we are mentioning, or something is not very clear, please feel free to just enter the question in the chat, and they will review it and answer you right there. And if you have any questions after the webinar, please contact support@plumsail.com, or if it's something related to Make, reach out to their support, please. And if you cannot stay for the whole duration of the webinar, no worries. We'll be sending you the recording later. You can forward it to your colleagues as well. So let's quickly overview the public web forms and documents products. So public web forms, as the name suggests, is great for collecting data from external users. You can embed it on your website or just share via link. They are ideal for collecting feedback, requests, registrations, create order or contact forms, basically any scenario where you need to have a form and to get the information from external users. And you can easily customize the forms to your exact use case. Plumsail public web forms can be easily connected via the either Make or Power Automate or Zapier to virtually any software. If you cannot find it through any of those automation tools, you can always use REST API to connect with public web forms. And we also have direct integrations with SharePoint list and Airtable databases. This is great for those straightforward scenarios where you just want the data to be saved directly somewhere and you don't need any extra steps. And today I'm excited to introduce our newest feature for the public web forms. It's AI chat, so another AI feature that we'll explore today. So they can create anything from either the whole form from scratch, no matter the complexity, or you can edit your existing forms, just ask it to do something and it will follow. We will quickly look at this feature in today's demo as well. Let's look quickly at the Plumsail Documents. That's a tool that's great for auto-generating documents in PDF, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or HTML formats from templates. The generated files can be sent by email. You can collect signatures, save to your preferred storage. So there's a lot that you can do. Then you can also send it via Slack or Teams, and all can be done in a single process. You can also use Documents tool for other actions such as converting different formats, merging documents, or splitting documents, and much more. And just like forms, documents can connect to any application via Make, which we'll look today, Power Automate, Zapier, or again, you can use REST API. Also, the products, both public web forms and documents, were designed to connect seamlessly. And again, that's great for those straightforward cases where you have the data from the form and then you create the document with it. But unfortunately, we all know that normal business processes are not that straightforward, and they can involve a lot of extra steps, for example, like approvals or data enrichment, data validation, and much more. So this is where Make automation comes in handy, and it can help you with both easy and complex workflows. So I'll hand it over to Daniel, and he will be able to give you more information. So let me just stop sharing. So Daniel, you can take over. Let me know
Hey
if you.
guys, yeah, I need to be made as presenter here.
Oh, let's see. Okay.
Can you elevate my role, please?
Yes,
I just
just give me
noticed
one
now.
second. Oh yeah, my bad. Okay.
All right, all good.
Hopefully,
Yep, all
yeah,
good.
let me know if you can see it.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Hi guys, so my name is Daniel. I'm a value engineer here at Make, and my role today is to introduce Make, and then we are gonna look at a real-world business process, which we are gonna automate together with Plumsail products and Make. All right, so let me make a quick introduction into the company. So who we are, what do we do? So Make is a leading no-code slash low-code automation platform. We've been on the market since 2016. Some of you may know us under the former brand name, which was Integramat. We rebranded in 2022 to Make. All right. Uh, of course, nowadays we heavily focus on AI automation and orchestration. You are also going to see some of the AI features in our live demos. Make as a company is a part of German Salonis Group. Make alone has over 300 people, so we are decent sized company already, and we have a lot of customers, over like 200K, big or small, freelancers or enterprises. It really depends on what stage you are, and ideally on the plan selection which you have, right? So we can have free users, we can have users on very small paid plans, but at the same time, you can buy very powerful enterprise plans. So Amazon, Bamboo HR, Walt Disney, Stellantis, I guess these are the brands everyone knows, and they are also using Make. Now, one great thing about Make is that it's kind of addictive, and once people get into it, after a little bit of training, they usually love it. So that is why we rank very high on independent review sites. Now, Make, as I said, is a very visual platform. So what you are building in Make is basically a diagram of a workflow of a process, which you essentially convert into automations. So a lot of the building process is done based on dragging and dropping various visual elements. Okay. Out of the box, we offer around 3,000 applications, which are essentially which is essentially 3,000 API connectors. And out of these 3,000 apps, 400 or more than 400 are AI based. And obviously this number is only gonna grow. Now, for those of you who already know Make a little bit, you know that a scenario or a workflow is kind of the cornerstone, which has been there since the early days. However, there has been a lot of progress in recent years, and Make is no longer just about scenario building. Of course, you can build scenarios which use AI, which don't use AI. There's a lot of push for AI these days, and we of course see it in the workflows which our users are building. But Make is not just about the scenarios anymore. Now you can also plug AI agents into your scenarios, where you can introduce non-deterministic decision making or non-deterministic executions of certain tools, etc. You can also convert your existing Make automations into MCP server. So for example, you can have your OpenAI account connected to Make, and you can interact with the integrations where OpenAI is gonna decide what scenarios it's gonna call to provide you the right answer, right? And then finally, there's also an extra layer which has been introduced about a year ago. It's called Make Grid, where you can see all the dependencies between your individual scenarios and various objects within those scenarios. But there is a lot of investment going on, a lot of development, and I would say these four things are kind of the four pillars which we are based on right now. Now let's now focus on Plumsail products and specifically on the forms and on documents. So as I said in Make, what we offer for the scenario building part, that's apps, and those apps allow you to execute certain actions or some modules, that's how we call the individual components which you use in the scenarios, also needs to be triggers. So for example, when we look at Plumsail forms, this is what you can do with Plumsail forms through Make. Obviously, most of the users will be watching submitted forms. So this is the trigger module. Then you can delete submissions, you can delete attachments, and you can also make custom API calls if you need to. But as I said, like 95%, maybe 99, it's all gonna be about watching form responses. That's something what I will also show you. And then when it comes to Plumsail Documents, that app is a bit richer given its nature. So you can play with filling in the blanks, basically types of situations. So you can generate documents by filling a template. You can run various conversions, etc. I couldn't even fit all the modules which we have for Plumsail Documents on this one screen because the application is very rich. In my demo, I will be using Plumsail Documents within Make to generate a document by filling the blanks, basically. All right. So let's now look into something a bit more realistic, and let's see Make in action, right? So what is the goal? What is the problem which we will be solving? So imagine you run a form. It's on your website, landing page, lead page. No matter what it is, you always need to collect those submissions and you need to pass them somewhere, maybe to a database, maybe to a table, maybe to a project management tool, maybe to a CRM, right? It's on you. With Make, you can make that happen. In my case, I will be collecting form submissions and I will be using Monday as my imaginary CRM. And whenever the submission makes it into Monday, I will act as a BDR or maybe account manager. I will process the lead, and as a next step, I will want to generate a quote for this client by using enriched information from Monday and sending it to Plumsail Documents where a nicely looking document will be generated. All right. So at the end of the day, we are aiming for these outcomes. I will want to get an email which is customized to my company, where I submitted from, and at the same time, I will also want to get a specific quote which is going to respect the values entered by account manager or account executive in Monday. Right, so let me escape the presentation and let's start looking into it. So in Make, to solve this problem, we will have two scenarios. The first scenario is going to be a warm-up scenario. It's very easy, very straightforward. There are 3 steps, and it's going to be capturing the form submissions. Right, so at first we are going to capture the submission, then we are going to figure out what the company which just submitted that form is actually doing, because we are going to need that information in Monday and for the quote generation. And then we are going to create a new record in Monday for monday.com. It's called create an item. And once we have the data in Monday, when we need to generate a quote, it's going to look something like this. There are more steps. This is more from a real life type of situation where you need to deal with a little bit of complexity as well. So let me first run it. Let me first run the first part, then we are going to look into the technical details, and then we are going to run this longer scenario. So I was, of course, preparing for the webinar. So here is a form which I generated through Plumsail. Obviously, this is just a preview URL. In the real world, you would probably enter it to your website or something like that. And I have pre-filled form with my information. So I'm asking for first name, last name, phone number, email, company name, some pain points, and headquarters country. Notice that I'm not really describing what the company is doing because I'm going to use that in my automation to run some web search and enrichment to get that information automatically. All right. Was to mention that my imaginary company, which is going to be generating the quote, is in IT development space. So imagine you are just collecting leads which are interested in some sort of like IT services and IT projects. All right. So whenever I submit this form, this scenario should trigger in real time, and a new record should appear in my Monday board. Right. So I'm going to refresh this just to be sure that there is nothing cached and we can see it in real time. And then I'm going to run the form. So I'm going to submit. So the form was submitted. Now we can even see how it is executed in real time. In real life, of course, you don't have to sit and watch, right? This is going to run silently behind the scenes, but because we are doing live demo, it's nice to look at. At this point, we are using OpenAI to run a web search about the company which just submitted, so we can get that information and also send it to Monday alongside of the original submission. This is going to take a while, I think more than like 15 seconds should be expected. It's actually running a web search. Okay, so now it finished and now it went to Monday. So if I go to Monday, magic happened, right? We can see the submission. So we have the company. This is what came from the form, but now we also have company bio, and that is something which was collected by OpenAI by running a simple web search. So now we even know what the company is doing, and when your salespeople deal with this lead, they kind of know better than just by the company name, right? We also store the date created, the first name, last name. This is all the information from the form, HQ country, pain points, submission ID. And you can see that the generated quote is missing. So this is going to be a file once I generate the quote. And you can also see that I have a status column here. Right. So before we start processing this lead, let me go back to the scenario and let me quickly explain how the scenario building process works and what I actually did here to make it work. So every scenario needs to have a triggering module. In my case, I'm just watching for the form submitted. So just select the form which you want to watch for, and we are going to register the webhook on your behalf in Plumsail, and the submissions are going to start coming whenever they happen. Whenever the scenario is executed, you are always going to see inputs and outputs of each module. So here we can see the submission which I made, right? So this is exactly the information from the form plus submission ID. I personally like to store various kinds of IDs with the submissions because it's easy year later to maybe get the full submission if I wasn't storing everything, or maybe delete it, or usually when you do API operations, they are always based on some sort of an ID. So anytime you deal with IDs, I suggest you start storing them as well. Now, in the next step, we are running a web search about the company. So here's my prompt. I'm using my API key for OpenAI. And you can see that I'm simply asking to summarize the areas of business for this company. And now the way how you pass the data from one scenario to another is again by drag and dropping. So let's say if I need to provide the variable HQ country into the prompt every single time this runs, I'm going to simply drag and drop it into the position like this. Right. So the way to pass the data from one module to another is basically looking at preceding outputs of those modules, and then we are going to suggest them here, and then this is what you can use while you are mapping the fields from one module to another. Here you can already see a bit more advanced operation. So I'm saying the website URL is something, but I'm basing it based on the email of the submitter. So from the email, these@make.com, I just need to get make.com. So I'm using our inbuilt functions to separate out just the domain. So I'm not passing the email as a website URL. And here you can also see that I'm using a tool provided by OpenAI, which is the web search. So I'm just running that. And there's a lot of extra parameters you can play with as well. I'm not using them because simply the results when I was testing were just good enough for me, right? And in the final step of this scenario, I am creating the new record in Monday. So I'm specifying the board, the group where I want to create the lead, and the columns which I want to fill out. And again, I'm just passing data from one module to another. So now you can see that even OpenAI's output is available, and I'm simply taking the result of the of the search and mapping it here just like that. And I basically do this with all other fields. So if the first name from the form was not mapped, I would navigate to it. You can even see that when you start hovering over these variables, the source module is starting to pause. So we tell you, what you are referring to. So again, I would map it like this. Here you can see another a bit more advanced feature. Instead of like somehow hard coding the time, by writing it, it it's not good enough, right? Like you need the actual current time. So I'm just using a variable which we provide out of the box, which is basically now, and that's gonna give you the current timestamp, right? And I was happy enough with this workflow, so I can save it, and this is it. Now, I didn't show you how you actually add those steps. So again, it's very visual. So let's pretend I did not have the monday.com module here, and I am about to add it now. So I would just click this plus button, select Monday. Now I would decide on the action which I want to do. In my case, it's about creating an item. So I'm going to create a new item. Now I am going to start mapping, right? So the item name is likely going to be the company name from the form. The board ID is going to be the Plumsail demo board, which I have created. And the group can be open leads. And now you can select what columns you want to fill up and those which you don't want to fill up. In my case, I did pretty much everything except the generated quote. And then again, we would map like this. So that's how you actually add those steps. Now, this scenario is super simple, but it can get complex very quickly, very fast. So you can start routing into different directions. You can start creating subroutes within routes. Then you can start iterating through arrays and aggregating into arrays, and you can do error handling to decide what's going to happen when a scenario or when a module fails for whatever reason. So it can get fairly complex very quickly, and it really depends just on the business problem which you are solving. Right? If it's a simple problem, the scenario is likely going to be simple. If it's a very complex problem, the scenario or maybe series of scenario is going to be more complex than 3 modules, right? Um, Now let's look at the second part of the process. So I'm going to leave this one alone moving forward. And let's just pretend now I'm an account executive working on this opportunity, and it's all valid, it's all good. And I need to create a quote for the company. So the way how it works in my case is that I can start adding line items or sub items into this main item. Uh, and those are essentially going to be line items on the quote, right? So I'm going to say that there's going to be some initial analysis. It's going to cost 1,000. Then there will be development. It's going to cost 5,000, and maybe at the end there's going to be some post launch support, and that can be 2,000, right? So now I'm happy with this, and I want to generate a PDF quote for the customer and send it to the customer. So as a salesperson, I can change this status here. I'm gonna say, hey, generate quote for me. And whenever I execute this scenario, the PDF is gonna be generated. We are gonna send a customized email based on the company bio. And we are also gonna upload that generated file back to Monday into this column, all right? So I'm gonna run this now. Let's see what's gonna happen. In this scenario, you can see that I am using Make's AI toolkit, where you can run simple prompts or simple AI operations. You don't even have to bring your own API keys for anything. You can use ours, which is nice. Now we can see that we are crafting the email. So let's hope this is going to work, because with AI, you never know. And then the email was sent. So maybe I can show it to you in my mailbox. So in my mailbox, I just got this email. Oh, okay. You see, there is missing body of the email because AI is acting. Let's see what happened there. I'm gonna investigate live here. But the bottom line is that the most important piece is here. It's the quote, which was customized for the prospect, right? We have the company name, the phone number, and furthermore, we have these items, right? So everything which I had in the Monday board as a sub items, it got transferred here, and Plumsail even calculated this for us automatically, so I didn't have to run any math, and it just came like this, right? So this is what I did. Now, when it comes to the scenario, I'm really curious about this part. Okay, so you see, AI just decided to provide no answer here for some reason. This can sometimes happen. I guess my prompt may not be good enough, and I should test it more. But bottom line is that, here in this workflow, we are looking for all the items which have the generate quote status. Then I'm running through the sub items. So I'm running through these items here to put them into the quote. So I'm using iterator, then I'm getting the individual items, and then I'm aggregating back into this a bit more advanced object. Don't get too frightened by this. It's a relatively normal operation, but I understand that if you are new to the Make world, it might be a little scary, but it's normal. Anyone can learn this. Once I have the line items, I obviously need to pass it into the Plumsail document. And the beauty of the Plumsail document is that once you select the process or the document which you want to generate, Make is going to go and it's going to preload all the mappable fields from the document. So if I go into the document or into the template from my Plumsail account, we will see that this template, see, this template can be freely edited. I just use something from the Plumsail's library, but you can of course create your fully branded template with proper imagery, etc. And you can see all these variables, and these are actually the fields which are now showing in Make. If you want to get a full list of available tokens for API mapping, you can get it here. So it's going to look for all the tokens throughout the doc, and then the list is here, right? So these are essentially all the fields which you can play with in Make. Now, if I went and created a new token, maybe like to email, then I believe it should appear as well. And if I reload it in Make, then Make should also see this new field. So now we have to email, right? And here, if I just reload the module, refresh, then the to email will be there, and it will not be mapped because obviously it's a new field for me. Where is it? Interesting. Maybe it takes time for the field to show. Oh, I know why, because I haven't saved it yet. All right, so if I save, then it should appear in Make as well. Okay. So now if I open it and refresh, then we have the field here. All right, so this is how you can edit the templates live, and this is how it translates to the Make world where you are free to map these fields. Then whenever I generated the document, I simply downloaded the file based on the URL which was provided by Plumsail. We have a generic module for this operation. Then I was running my AI prompt to generate first paragraph of the email, which was supposed to be customized based on the demo company, right, based on the bio, but unfortunately it didn't happen. I don't know why, but things like this happen in AI world, so make sure you test your AI prompts a lot and possibly adjust. And then I sent the email to me. I, of course, uploaded the document back to Monday, and I also changed the status here to quotes generated. Now, you might be wondering, like, why to bother with sending emails through Make when you can do it through Plumsail? Because within the Plumsail processes, it is also possible. So you can essentially create the template, and then you can have email step as the next, action which it's gonna take. But if you have really, really complex processes where actions need to happen in very, very specific order and they need to be part of one process, then doing everything through Make probably makes sense, right? But if you have something super simple and maybe you wouldn't even need any write backs to Monday, then in that case, there's probably no point in using this emailing part, and you can simply just start the document creation, and then Plumsail can handle the rest. So it really depends on the complexity of your process and how you look at it. But be aware that you can achieve same results when it comes to sending emails through Make and Plumsail, and now it only comes down to the complexity of your process, whether it makes sense to do it that way or that way. All right. So I believe this is all for my part. Now I would like to hand over back to Karina, who has also a process to demo, and she also has some AI steps in it. So let's see if she's gonna be luckier than me. So Karina, the floor is yours, and please
Thank
go
you.
ahead with your use case.
Thank you so much. Yeah, well, I guess we had a tiny problem with AI, so hopefully my my flows work correctly, but we'll see. Yeah, and if you would like to escape that problem with AI, yeah, you could just send an email with documents. But again, you said it correctly that it's a little more complex and you want to personalize it even further, then AI is great in this use case. And really cool demo. Thank you so much. I actually learned something new about the drag and dropping of the dynamic data from Make. I've been just clicking before, so now this will be a little bit easier. So let's look at the problem that we have here at hand and for the demo. So I would like to talk about the customer feedback, or it could be user feedback or employee feedback form. Basically, any kind of feedback is crucial for any business functions, for it to thrive, to grow the product, to get better. And a lot of times that feedback is just lost, or maybe it's kind of hard to organize it, analyze it. It takes a lot of time. So what we'll do here today, we'll have the customer feedback form. We'll save it to Google Sheets and Google Docs, and then we'll use AI to analyze it. And we'll also be using it to analyze the data and create the customer feedback report. That one is done also with Plumsail Documents, but analyzed by the AI from Make. And we'll also use it to send an email, sort of like what did Daniel, but in this case, we're analyze specific feedback from a specific customer, see what was the pain point, what exactly was the problem, if the feedback was negative, and then the AI will draft the draft the email for the human agent to review, and then maybe make some changes, maybe leave as is, and just send an email to the customer, saving a lot of time. And yeah, so that's for the overview. Now let's quickly take a look um, at the scenario itself. So this is the first one. So as I mentioned, we'll be using the Plumsail forms to get the feedback. Then it will be saved to Google Sheets, Google Docs, and here we have the Make AI toolkit. And this is a little different one from what Daniel used. So this one is Analyze Sentiment. Let me actually zoom in, so hopefully you can see it better. So yeah, so basically we take the dynamic data from our Plumsail public web forms. The field is, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What did you like? What we could do better? And it will analyze to see if it's positive, neutral, or negative. And then we added router that Daniel also showed, and we added filtration for either the feedback is negative. So we took the sentiment from the Make AI toolkit. So it's right here. And we set it up to equal to negative. And this way it goes to another Make AI toolkit. And this one is Ask Anything, the same one that Daniel used. So hopefully it works. And we asked it to review the customer's feedback and then suggest specific actionable steps that the agent can take, and then draft a professional and empathetic reply to this customer. And the final step here is the Gmail. As you can see, we're just creating a draft. We're not sending an email straight from AI, probably one to review by the agent itself, but it will save a lot of time and effort and brain capacity for the human agent. And we added the email address, again, from the public web form. Then we added the answer from the Ask Anything Make AI toolkit, but we also want our live human agent to see the actual raw feedback from the customer and the rating, so they can read through that and see what AI suggested. And if the feedback is positive, we'll just send a Gmail email saying thank you for the feedback. We appreciate you. So yeah, so let's look how it works. And as I promised earlier, we'll also take a look at the AI assistant from Plumsail Public Web Forms. So as you can see, the form is fully created already and actually used the Make AI assistant to create this form originally. But let's see, so we have date, full name, email. Let's also ask for the company where the customer is from. So we can ask it, please add a field for company and just click enter. Oops, I forgot the F, but hopefully it understands. So it might take a couple of minutes. And while it's generating, I also wanted to note that I used it to add some JavaScript to the date field for it to automatically show today's date. So the customer doesn't have to go into the calendar and select the date. It'll just pop up automatically. Okay, we're a little slow here. I'm sorry. It might be just something's not. Okay, here we go. Done. Hmm, let's see. Well, I don't really see it. Do you see it? I don't. Okay. Huh. Okay, let's try again. I feel like we're running a webinar on why not to use AI, Daniel. Just a
Could be
joke.
the
It's
case
all,
sometimes.
yeah. But it's all work in progress. I feel like this technology just came around. Oh my God, I am blind. I'm sorry, not AI, human fault. Okay, so let's here we go. We'll just put it here and we'll do here. Okay, all down. Let's click save and um, I will just open it with a URL. And as you can see, today's date, let's put company, Plumsail, my name, then my email address. I have a feedback ready here that I can just copy paste. I'll give 3 stars, paste the feedback, say no. And oh, let's also activate it so it's watching for information. You can also turn it on to immediately as data arrives in the real case scenario, obviously, but just for demo, we'll activate it once. Okay, form is submitted. And as you can see, the scenario is running. So fingers crossed, everything works on this end.
The intense part now.
Yeah, drum roll. Oh, and while it's running, quick caveat for all the people that joined a little later. We have our team members from both Plumsail and Make in the chat. So if you have any questions, just let us know, put it in the chat. We'll have time to answer questions later, but if you have something right now, ask away. So, okay, everything worked. So let's quickly see. We got the answer, hopefully. Yep. So AI worked. Let's see if it's analyzed correctly. Yep. It's determined that sentiment is negative, so it went this route. And here, as you can see, 0. Great. Let's now look at our Gmail and see if we got the draft. Well, we got it added to our sheets with all the feedback. And let's see, might take a second for the email. Oh, here we go. Here's the draft. Great. So we have the suggestions for improvements. So here we have the main concerns, frequent random disconnections, suggest specific actions. So we got some suggestions. And here is the reply for the customer. So the customer service agent can just remove all of that after they analyze it, remove the feedback, hit send, and the customer will get the response from the customer care team immediately, saving a lot of time. And also we got it added to our Google Doc. And it's important as we're going to be using this Google Doc for our next scenario. So let me open this one. So we're done with this one. Let's go to, as you can see, it starts with the Google Docs, get content from a document. So we'll be using all of the feedback added to the doc. You can use something else. Quick caveat, I've decided to use the Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Gmail just because it's accessible to anyone and you can experiment with something like this today. So you can use any other system that you have already using maybe in your company or on hand. So next, let's look at the Make AI toolkit here. So for this one, we asked it to generate a JSON output. We added requirements to, first of all, we asked it to summarize all the feedback collected in the Google Docs. And then we also fed it schema that we'll be using in Plumsail Documents, similar to what Daniel was showing, where we'll be connecting that dynamic data with tokens inside our document. So you can also use just the standard answer inside of your Plumsail documents with one token where all that AI generates will be put in this document, but we wanted to do a little bit more to showcase what the Plumsail documents can do. And then for it to parse the JSON, we added the JSON module here. It will just be taking the answer from the AI toolkit. And finally, we are added all the outputs from the parse JSON module here. Let's take a look quickly at our document. So we added the tokens for report month. Again, this will be from the Make AI toolkit. Submissions, total number, average rating. It will calculate this for us. Great. And then we also added bullet lists. So we want separately see what are key feedback points and what are the actions to improve product and experience. We also added the Gmail delivery for the report, and we also want to save it in Google Drive. So let's go back to our scenario here. And so you can just click run once, or you can set up more frequent ones. So let's click, and again, we'll pray to gods of technology that everything works.
While we are waiting,
Mhm.
maybe the longer the input is, the larger model you select. I know that you selected the small one here,
Yes.
but
Hmm.
moving forward, like if this was a real world scenario, it would probably make sense to go with the large one.
Well, I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
feel like we might have to change it right now.
Yeah, yeah, let's try. Let's do
Yeah.
live debugging here. Let's try to change
Yeah.
it, and
Okay.
let's go for the large one.
Yes. Let's click save and save the entire scenario and run again. Yeah, sometimes these hiccups happen, so definitely refining the prompt can help. So
And guys, like if you deal with AI on daily basis, like this is relatively normal, right? Like you really
yeah.
have to test, play, iterate, take care of edge cases, but taking care of edge cases through prompts, right? So you have to
Hmm.
resize your prompts, tell it what to do, what not to do, etc. So
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, while I was preparing for the webinar, I refined my prompt for the first scenario quite a few times just to make sure that I get the, oh, it works great, just
see,
to
it
get
works.
the right connection. Yep. So this was not planned. All live. Okay. So the document got generated. Let's go to the, um, we can check here. Actually, no, we can go to our, um, oh, I'll have to open my, sorry. See, we can also look here. That's another feature to show you guys for the Plumsail documents where you can download the result document without actually checking where it, um, for example, it was sent to a customer and you don't have that result document on hand, you can just go here and check it out. But I also got the email sent to me saying monthly customer feedback report for November. Please see attached. And now again, oh, great. So we have where we had tokens for the month of the report. We have November, total number of submissions 22, average rating. We also did decimals with the formatter. and see. We have some key feedback points, and then we have some actions to improve the product and experience. So that's great. So people can review it, and hopefully improve the customer experience. You can also, for this process, you can add charts. As I mentioned, you can add images, everything that's possible to be created within the Plumsail Documents template. You can use here as well as with the AI. So um, there's very little limit. So thank you so much. Hopefully you enjoyed these demos. Now we can answer some questions. Let me open this. Any questions, guys? Please feel free to type them in the chat, and Danielle and I will be happy to answer, or um, also our other tech specialists in the chat. And what if you have no questions, then we would love to know what you find interesting, something that maybe you can utilize today, tomorrow. I know a lot of companies right now are putting incentives for employees to use AI in their workflows to speed things up, to be more efficient. So if you think of any ways to use the Make AI toolkit or other AI in the flows.
Yeah, like I would like to add that on the other AI in the flows. First, we focused on AI's toolkit because it's kind of the easiest way to go in Make, especially if you are starting. But as you saw, even I was using OpenAI for certain steps. You can go with Gemini. You can go with Anthropic. Like we have all the main LLM providers supported on the platform. So it really depends on your choice. We are not forcing you to use Make AI if you already have API keys for something uh, approved in your company, etc. Right? So you have the freedom to choose, but if you have no API keys to work with, you can still go with the Makes AI provider.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, actually, I remember when we just started talking about this webinar, and I've been experimenting, and I used other providers like the modules from, I think it was Grok. So yeah, it was great too. Mm.
Okay, we have a question. So Power Automate versus Make. I think I've heard this one before. Um, so let me take it. Look, if you look at the both platforms, you will find it very similar, right? Maybe in Make we build from left to right. In Power Automate it goes from top to bottom. But I guess the main difference is about the building experience and the amount of connectors you have there. Like if you are solely focused on automating your processes within Microsoft Stack, Power Automate is going to be very good at that, right? Because they have pretty much like native connectors there. But if you are thinking about going beyond Power Automate or Microsoft Word, then Make is likely going to have wider selection of connectors out of the box and wider selection of maintained connectors out of the box. So the 3,000 number I quoted, most of those apps we have are either maintained by us directly or they are reviewed by us. And I'm not sure if that's the case in Power Automate's marketplace. Another thing is the building experience itself. I feel like for many users, Power Automate interface might be just like too much. With Make, it seems to be more business friendly, right? So if you're not a developer, then you'll probably succeed in Make, even in building like complex workflows. But I'm not sure how far you would get in Power Automate. Right. So I would say these are the two main differences, the building experience and the ease of use and the connectors beyond Microsoft's ecosystem. And
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah, I agree with you, Danielle. I think it's an easier platform to use, much more user-friendly. And from the side of Plumsail, all connectors are available in both programs, so you can use either or. Really depends on your preference.
Okay. We have another one, and
Yeah,
that's about,
if you
I
want to
would
read
say,
it.
yeah. So the question is whether we basically provide professional services and whether we help hands-on to people who want to automate. So I can speak for Make. I'm not sure about Plumsail, but let me start. So we at Make, we build the platform, okay? but we don't provide building services. All right, so you have to either build on your own or you can hire someone from our professional network of partners. So I can quickly show you how it looks.
Yep.
Let
Stop sharing
me
here.
start sharing. If you go to make.com, so, and you go to partners, you can find a partner and you can select your country, the preferred language, the specialization, and then you will get a list of 10 to 15 partners based on the matching criteria who you can contact on your own, and they'll be happy to help you out.
Mm. Yeah, that's great. Well, the answer is similar on our end. Well, we have free tech support, and they'd be happy to answer any questions, both Plumsail related and Make related. But if you require, exactly as Daniel said, more hands-on of someone coming in and building and helping you fully on board and understand how everything works, then yes, we also have a partner page. So there are solution partners that most of them are SharePoint based, but we are planning to add more partners that specialize in other programs, including Make. So that's something that we are working for. But also just email us support@plumsail.com and we'll be happy to help you figure it out. There's also a question about difference between Zapier and Make.
Okay, I can take that one, I guess. So the answer is going to be partially similar to what I said about Power Automate. So again, someone may have different preferences when it comes to the UI and the building experience, but I guess the main difference between us and Zapier is that with Make, and it might be subjective because I work here, right? But with Make, you can build very, very complex workflows relatively easily. And that is usually something quite hard where Zapier or former Zapier users turn to us because they simply hit the wall of what is possible in Zapier and they are looking for more complex tools to help them solve more complex problems. Like I can show you a crazy scenario from my side, which we are running internally. And this is still something which you can build in Make. You see all the routing, sub-routes, iterations, error handling, all this part of one workflow. All right. So there are like dozens and dozens and dozens of steps which you can add. I'm not quite sure how you would do this in Zapier. Right. So that's, I guess, the main difference between us and Zapier.
Is this the grid, right?
No,
Feature?
this is
No,
not
it's
the
ours.
grid. This is
Oh,
this
that's
is
just
just
like
a
a standalone.
scenario.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of the grid, once you get to a certain point and you are running many automations, you might be interested in seeing the dependencies between the scenarios. All right. And at that point, you may want to turn to the grid, which can show you what the dependencies are, and not only between scenarios, but also between like Google Sheet tables or Airtable bases, Monday boards and things like that. So we are going to show you the dependencies and the scenario on the map and how it interacts with others, right? So you can see that there are some dependencies of this scenario and it's talking to a Slack channel and then it's sending emails, etc. So this map is going to show you what leads to where, and it's going to make you way more comfortable in making significant changes because you're able to really see what you are going to affect if you, let's say, delete a Google Sheets table. Yeah.
Yeah, that looks incredible. So you have a whole overview of what
Yeah, yeah,
everything
yeah,
is
exactly.
happening.
It's your eye, basically, for the dependencies.
Hmm.
Um, a few more
Yeah.
questions. How are we doing on time? Okay, we have
Yeah,
five
we
more
still have a
minutes,
few minutes. Yeah.
so I can take them. Is it true that Make does not have any partners in the Netherlands? Actually, I'm not sure, but please go to the partner page and see if you don't find anyone. It might be the case. We have around like 400 partners, and I'm not sure if every single country in Europe, for example, has a representative. Another question, how complex can one make the scenario in Make? What's the maximum number of actions? Um, I mean, it can be very complex, as we saw in my crazy example, but there is no firm answer on it because the scenario itself can have certain size. It's a few megabytes basically when you save it. And different apps have different sizing, right? So you can have apps which are very demanding, and in that case, the scenario cannot be like endlessly long. But then you have apps which are very, very lightweight, which is most of the time the case. And then the scenario can have like 300 steps, 400 steps, etc. Is it a good approach to build crazy scenarios with all the routes and subroutes? Probably not anymore. Like I would probably do it differently these days. But if you need to, you can do it.
We also have a question about the data, where data is processed
Yes.
from
Okay. So
Sophie. So yeah, I'll quickly note from us, we have regions. Unfortunately, we don't have right now a dedicated Canadian region, but we do have a US region, EU. So it also depends by the product. So I can send you some information as well. Oh, we have still people joining. Great. Yeah, so sorry, Danielle, go ahead.
okay, and for Make, so like Make is like a pipeline between your apps. So we don't really store the data for long. We just keep some logs for like 30 days. Then there is inbuilt feature called Data Store where you can store data for long run, and that's pretty much where it ends. When it comes to the actual processing location and storage, it's either EU in Germany or Dublin or US, right? So whenever you sign up for Make, you can decide what your hosting location is, whether it's basically like EU or US. And that's
Mhm.
it for now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we don't really store for long as well, especially for documents. Once it's processed, it's shortly after deleted. For forms, it's a little different. If you choose to store the submissions inside your Plumsail account, then yes, it is stored. But otherwise, if you just, for example, use it to add it to Excel spreadsheet or like Google Sheets or Monday.com, as you showed, and you don't really need it to be saved in Plumsail account, then yeah, no need for that.
Yeah,
I know Sophie
exactly.
also mentioned that we provide a lot of scenarios processes on our website. Thank you so much. If you have any, all of you guys who are here, if you have any suggestions of what would you like to see, etc., just email us, set it here in the chat, and we'd be happy to create more content of how Plumsail can be used as well as Make. We have something in the pipeline to create more content for Make processes. And one last thing that I wanted to also say at this point is that you can use with AI all other actions that Danielle showed earlier for documents as well. So for example, you can use like a split PDF or merge PDF, possibly contacting AI agent or AI toolkit to identify where is a particular page that needs to be taken out of the huge PDF document. So that's something that can be done to really just experiment is the best way to go around. Yeah, I don't know Dutch partners, unfortunately. Well, yeah, so we'll be looking out for that. But we do have some other partners in Europe, and I know a lot of
I,
them work
I
across
can
EU.
also say that there's probably a lot of companies which exist as shadow partners, so they are not officially listed, but they still provide those services. So if you just Google them, they will say, "Hey, we work with Make or we work with Plumsail in Netherlands," and uh, it's possible that you will find someone this way as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and anything else? Any other questions? Let's see. Maybe we missed something. Yeah, I think so far that's it. Anyone? Anything else? Daniel, you want to close it out then? Anything else from your end?
Look, my closing thought is always the same. Like when you see these live demos, and if you are kind of scared to try it yourself, just don't be scared. Go ahead and try it. Maybe you will fail a few times, but eventually you'll get it working, and then the fun part starts because now you know how to do things and you are unstoppable.
Think I totally agree with you. Yeah, it might seem a little bit overwhelming at first, but then once you actually start building it and maybe read a little bit, I know Make has a great YouTube channel that I was using myself to to prepare for this webinar, and I found a lot of useful information both on your website and there. And we as well, we have a YouTube channel that we make a lot of videos going into detail on what can be done. So yeah, thank you so much for joining. As I mentioned earlier, we'll be sending a recording of this today. maximum tomorrow. If no more technical issues today, then it will be today. So feel free to share it. At some point, it will be posted probably on our YouTube channel, so as well. But thank you so much. Hopefully, you can take something to your work day today and experiment with something. It's my pleasure to join you, Daniel, in this, and thank you so much.
Yeah,
It's
thanks
great
for
to
inviting me.
see you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.